The Kraken are encouraging everyone to play hooky for hockey. Download your excuse letter, make a fake dentist appointment, do what it takes to be at the home opener at 1:30 p.m. on October 8th. Visit SeattleKraken.com for more details. Hey Kraken fans, 32 Bar & Grill is excited to announce their new fall menu, featuring new sandwiches including the return of the fan favorite prime rib dip, and introducing new happy hour offerings. You can catch all upcoming Kraken games and other big sporting events at 32 Bar & Grill, located inside Kraken Community Iceplex, the home of your Seattle Kraken.
And welcome to another edition of Signals from the Deep, the official podcast of your Seattle Kraken. I am your host, Piper Shaw, and I am joined by our lovely producer extraordinaire, Grant Beery. Grant, how are we doing today?
I'm doing very well. What do you think of that new theme music we got? We debuted it last week, or last episode.
I love it. I particularly love the accordion vibe happening in it.
That is all courtesy of our team organist, Benny Drawbars. He has been cooking this up for a few months for us. I insisted we have an accordion in there. But love the vibes. I think it matches the deep and the motif that we've got going on here. So let us know what you think, fans, if you like it. And if you see Benny around the arena, let him know. Give him a shout out.
I agree. He is also just such a musically gifted fellow. I've had so many conversations with him about so many facets of music. He has a truly impressive grasp of that art form.
Did you know he was featured on an episode of the Conan O'Brien podcast?
I did know that.
It is a really good listen. I think he does a great job of shouting out the org here, but also you learn about his day job, when he's not at the arena. And no spoilers. Go ahead, go find it, go take a listen. It's really good stuff.
So I actually, 2 years ago, did a feature on him where I learned that, and I didn't know that about him before I started this interview with him. He's awesome. So shout out, Benny.
Thank you, Benny. Appreciate it.
And with that being said, obviously we said it in our last episode, but Signals from the Deep is a tentacle of the Kraken Hockey Network. So we have just a couple of updates for you guys on kind of the state of the Kraken Hockey Network. So we've already gotten so much awesome feedback on the broadcasts. There's a couple of maybe bigger issues. All of those things have been sent to the parties that need to address them. So we hear you. We know they've already increased the size of the shots on the score bug. So some of those things, it's, an ongoing process. We're working, we're learning, we hear you, and just expect continued growth in that way. I got to see some pictures of our studio set that we will be debuting. It is so awesome. It's going to be the first hockey-centric set in the Northwest. It's got some boards and some glass. It almost looks like you're in a rink, so it's super cool. And then the home desk for our hosts and analysts for pregame and intermission and postgame, that is much larger, new design, and it's been relocated to the Space Needle Lounge. So it can accommodate up to 4 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the plan is to probably have some guests on throughout the season, some hockey guests, but also maybe some non-hockey guests as well to kind of improve the entertainment experience a little bit.
Love that.
We're pretty jazzed. So like we said in the last episode, our preseason broadcasts have been really about kind of getting into the rhythm of things again for everybody, but we haven't had a full pregame, postgame, intermission show with all of our talent, all of the kind of moving pieces that we will have. So we're excited for the regular season to get that underway. And speaking of our broadcast, my co-host for this episode is the one, the only, JT Brown. Hi, JT.
Hi, Piper. Excited to be here. Grant?
Good to have you here again. It's been a few episodes, yes. So always glad to have you in front of the mic here.
Oh, it's always a fun time and excited to get to talking.
I like the T-shirt you're wearing. I know that our listeners can't see it, but could you describe it for them?
Well, it's a Star Wars T-shirt with Samuel L. Jackson on it, and yeah, I mean it was a good one from Lexi. Lexi bought it for me. I can't take credit for it. Most like majority of the clothes I would wear, not suits though. I'm not giving her credit for the suits, but for a lot of the clothes, she does do a lot of the shopping and comes home with nice little gems for me all the time.
Do you have a Jar Jar Binks counterpart? Because controversially, JT is a big Jar Jar Binks fan.
I tried, Piper. We talked about this. I tried to get the Jar Jar shirt, but it just came in weird. Like the sizing wasn't. It just wasn't right. It was kind of like off centered a little bit. So I am still working on that. Still working on getting a Jar Jar tattoo as well. So the Jar Jar love is still here and it's not going anywhere. I don't care what the haters say. Okay.
Love it.
I love that journey for you. It's definitely not my journey.
For everybody. No.
Do you subscribe to the fan theory that Jar Jar is secretly like an evil Sith Lord that is working behind the scenes to kind of play both sides?
No.
Too much?
A little too far from me.
All right.
We're gonna just leave it there. He's my favorite though. I will stand by that.
All right.
All right, well, let's get into a little bit of hockey talk. I want to talk a little bit about some of your feelings and thoughts on the preseason. First of all, obviously on our broadcast, we've been talking a lot about one Brandon Montour, and for good reason. How has he looked to you, JT?
Yeah, I think Amani's looked good. I think what we know we're going to see out of Amani is what we've seen so far throughout the preseason as well. I mean, there's a reason why the Kraken wanted to go get him. His offensive capabilities and be able to jump up into the play. He skates tremendously well, and obviously 30-plus points over the last few seasons for him. That's going to be something that the Kraken are also going to need. They leaned a lot on Vince Dunn in the last few seasons when it came from the production side as the defense is concerned. So now you're adding another one, also a right-handed defenseman as well. That's a commodity in the NHL. A lot of teams always are looking for that right-handed defenseman that can play on the power play just like Monty does. I mean, he's got that shoot-first mentality, which I think will be a good thing. But defensively, he's tough to play against as well. He's tough in the corners. He's tough out in front of the net. So, to have a guy like that can bring the offensive side to the game, but also play defense. He's not just a one-dimensional player. I think that's only going to help the Kraken.
You mentioned he's tough to play against. You, at one point in your career, played with him with the Anaheim Ducks for a little bit of a bit. Just how would you describe kind of his energy and his personality to fans as well?
I think the fans will get to see this more. They, whether it's interviews or they see different content pieces with Monty, and he's always smiling. He's always got a lot of energy. He's a charismatic person, and he just tries to bring that fun to the rink every single day. And obviously, there's a serious side to him as well. When you get to the game, you start playing. Obviously, going back and forth, he can chirp, between the benches and get under players' skins. But when it comes to being a teammate, a friend, somebody that just wants to have that high energy, bring the good vibes overall to the locker room, to going out to dinner, whatever the case may be. He's just somebody that you always want to be around. And, obviously every team needs players like that around the locker room, especially when times get tough, a type of player that can kind of refocus and bring everything back to, a more positive light.
I feel like we can definitely see the value that would bring to this particular team in this locker room as well. So I feel like the good vibes are flowing on the ice and in the room.
Oh, yeah.
That's all about the right people, right? Obviously, the hockey component is a big one, right? You're out there to try to win games, but you're also worried about, what type of people you're bringing into the locker room. And the Kraken have done a good job as far as that's concerned in making sure that not only the player is a good player, but the person as well.
Speaking of another exciting piece brought in over the summer, Chandler Stevenson. What have you thought at the couple peaks that we've seen at him in the preseason?
Well, he sees the game extremely well. At sometimes it feels like the game might be slowed down to him with the type of plays he can make. I mean, I look back at the game versus Calgary and the backhand pass from behind the net, no look, hits Tolvanen in for the goal. I mean, plays like that, obviously that's a highlight type play. It's not going to happen every single game, but you see, what he's seeing. You can kind of get a glimpse of what you're going to see, from time to time. But also, I mean, I look at the face-off circle. He's great in the face-off circle. That's a big component of the game. There's not a lot of times where the game is majority reading and reacting, but when you get the opportunity to stop and set, whether it's making a play or trying to win a face-off on the power play, penalty kill, that's an area where you can really benefit the team just starting with the puck and not having to chase it. So there's that part of the game. He skates well, sees the game well, and really can play in all all times, all positions, whether you're talking about penalty kill, power play. You need a goal. You're up a goal. You're trying to defend the lead. I mean, he's got, just basically the complete package.
Yeah, that pass to Ellie Tolvanen in that preseason game was a thing of beauty.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure he was trying to hit Burakovsky.
Yes,
it was they were close enough that it could be to either one. Not gonna discredit it though, because it's still a great play. You still have to have the instincts. You still have to be able to know, and that's the part of the preseason where you're seeing plays like that already start to happen is a good thing. You're starting to see some chemistry, when you go out there and you have to think about plays, it's not good. So they're not thinking, they're just reading, they're going out there reacting, and that can take time. And for those type of plays to happen that early in the preseason, it's a good sign, whether that's good practice, everybody's getting on the same page when it comes to the systems, but when you can see those things kind of happen early in a preseason, it's pretty good.
And good on Tolvi for getting into that position too and getting back to make that happen too.
I mean, the easy part for him would have been just to stay along the wall and not fight your way back to the front of the net. And obviously it could have gone to Berkey, could have gone to Tolvi. It ends up on Tolvi's stick for a perfect little tap in on the backside. So again, as a line, that was a good play. I mean, it just started from a simple getting the puck into the zone, getting it down below the goal line, and all of a sudden 2 seconds later, a slick backhand pass, and it's in the back of the net.
Right. So from a perspective of bringing in two veterans, Montour and Stevenson, what do you think Ron Francis's mindset is bringing them in with a team full of these young guys? Is it to have a veteran presence to help them, learn faster, especially under a new coach, or is it something else?
I think you definitely have the veteran aspect. I mean, obviously bringing in guys who have won, and when you look at Stevenson 2 times, obviously, so that is a huge aspect when you're looking at building a team, and you want to be surrounded by winners, right? The people who win, they can breed and teach the younger kids exactly what it's like to win, or how hard it is, I guess would probably be the better way to say it. It's not an easy thing to do, but I think the other aspect is just going out and getting needs places where maybe the Kraken lacked in the last couple of years. And, that's the one thing that you have to keep doing in this league. It's not a game where you can just stay with what you've done. You have to keep trying to improve. And, they went out and did that, right? You needed a little bit more scoring. You needed to secure a little bit more depth at the center ice position. I think, adding a guy like Stevenson's going to help not only, a guy like Matty Beniers, but also you look at, the wingers, Jared McCann, Bjorkstrand, players like that, Burakovsky as well, having a guy that can facilitate, but also changes matchups wise, right? I think now you have other teams looking at, all right, well, we have a line with Matty Beniers. Now we have a line with Chandler Stevenson as well. It just makes them think a little bit more. Can't just put one line out to stop the one Kraken line. Now you're going to have multiple lines that have a lot of skill, and they're going to be a much tougher team to play against. And I think when you transition to the back end, the defensive side, I think we've done a great job with when looking at Vince Dunn, getting on the power play, running that, but then adding another offensive side where, a lot of that rested on Vince Dunn's shoulders, especially when it came to the power play time. Having a guy like Brandon Montour that can shoot the puck, he skates very well, sees the game. Having that, having a 1-2 punch, especially when most teams nowadays are going with the one defenseman for forwards out there for the power play. I think that's a big part. But again, I think, the best part is that you're bringing in winners. There's already cup winners in the locker room right now, and you keep adding them. It just helps create a winning culture, and they're just taking the steps needed, each year to get to that level.
I want to go back to how you mentioned kind of how Stevenson bolsters that center depth. How much can being stronger at the center position really benefit this team? Because like you mentioned, that's not always been, one of the strengths of the Kraken necessarily. How much can that really benefit the group?
Well, I think it's not only the face-offs, and I think that's like I said, the part of the game, but the majority of the game is reading and reacting, being that support system. They're in the middle of the ice, and a lot of times, I look in the defensive zone, they have more responsibilities than a winger, probably why I like to play winger. I'm like, hey, I got my defenseman up at the blue line, we're okay. Obviously, there's times where you have to switch, you have to do things, but for the majority of the time, they're going to be down low, they're going to be in front of the net helping the defenseman, and so there's obviously a little bit more responsibility there. But as a winger, I also look at it from the standpoint of, a puck gets rimmed around the wall. You have a good center. You have a strong depth, a good center ice position. They're the difference between an easy breakout and having that quick 5-foot support pass being on the wall versus an extended shift in our own zone. And now we're tired and we don't get to go play on the offensive side. Likewise, you could talk about that same sense through the neutral zone, but also, going into the offensive zone. A lot of the plays start through the middle of the ice. And when they do, then they can draw everybody in, dish it out to the outside. And that's where that magic, the offense starts to get created. So a lot of the focus obviously can be in the center ice and can be in the defensive zone. But for me, when you have a strong, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way going through the center ice position, it makes it hard for other teams to play against, but it also makes it a lot easier for you to play just based on having that support, having that guy. And when they see the game and read the game extremely well, it really does help your wingers, obviously your defensemen too, when you're looking at the defensive side or giving an outlet. But, they do have the toughest job as far as I would say the forwards are concerned, with being everywhere, but also having to be in the right spot at the right time. So again, when you can have that level, and again, you look at who knows how it's going to completely go down, but when you have a 1-2 punch like that and going through, and you had guys like Yanni, and who knows if Wright ends up being the other center down the middle, but you start looking at it and you can start playing little mind games yourself, like who's going to get slotted here, slotted there, and you just look at it on paper. It looks a lot better. It's looking stronger. And, every year, that's just what, myself, I'm looking at. That's what fans are looking at. They just want to see that growth and seeing the continual, development of this team, and just to keep pushing for, the ultimate goal. Obviously it doesn't really happen overnight. It takes the steps and you take the process to get there. And I just like looking and seeing like, all right, incremental steps. And it's obviously something that I think myself and a lot of fans are excited to see.
You slipped his name in there for just a second there, but Shane Wright, I just want to know how you've kind of seen his game develop this year versus the glimpses that we've seen him in the past.
Yeah, you got to remember he's young, right? So he's consistently he's like a sponge. He's still growing. He's still learning and getting adapted to playing in the National Hockey League. I think if you look at last season and him going down to the American Hockey League was really good for him, and you could see the growth and the confidence when he did come back to the Seattle, and obviously finding the back of the net can definitely help your confidence. So
you don't say.
Going into this preseason, obviously he comes back with, the last, obviously there was a good low run with Coachella Valley, but also at the same time, like the focus of getting to the National Hockey League. You can see the steps that he's made. Look at even just little things like decision making them a little bit quicker. He obviously still has a great shot, when he gets to use that. So you just constantly see the growth, and you see steps forward. Same way you're talking about the team wanting to, get to that ultimate goal. His ultimate goal to be a National Hockey League player and to contribute. So you see him taking those steps. He has the tools, and I even again keep going back to the Calgary game, but it's the third period, and I thought he was the best player, regardless of him scoring the power play goal in that game. I thought he was the best player on the ice. He was attacking, and that's when he's at his best. When he's out there looking to attack first and make that play second, he can be really dangerous. And we saw that. Again, you're looking at a preseason. As you get to the end of the preseason, teams are starting to play more of their NHL lineup. So that's another glimpse of just what he can do. And then it's all about just finding that consistency, right? And doing that on a day-to-day basis, which is harder for younger players. But when you look at his growth and his development and the journey that he's taken, it looks at this moment that he's ready to take that next step.
And it really can't be understated too, how much more confident he looks, how much more mature he looks, and, even speaks and presents like, it's so obvious how that development off the ice, kind of as a person, but also just like physically impacts that confidence on the ice too. I feel like that we've seen from him.
Yeah. I don't know what it was like, obviously, for him to, be in the spot he was, and the amount of pressure, not only everybody else put on him, but the pressure you put on yourself, which I think in the most times for most athletes, to get to this, you have to put pressure on yourself and you have to try to live up to it. But, that can be overwhelming at times too. And to kind of just seem like maybe you just let it go, right? You go down, you find success, and now you're finding your own journey. The journey that everybody thought you were going to have just isn't the journey that you're on right now, and being able to find that own way. Again, that's just that's how you can see the growth. And when you look at what he's done, obviously it wasn't the path that I think he thought or many thought he was going to be on, but sometimes the path that's not the easy one is the better one in the long term. And, right now I like the way that I've seen his game grow, not only on the ice, but like you said, off the ice, how he carries himself. And, just being able to see that confidence and that growth within a person is pretty cool.
Definitely. Are there any other returning guys so far in camp or in preseason that have kind of caught your eye? Anybody that you've thought has looked maybe a little bit better or just interesting to you?
For the returning guys?
Yeah.
No, I think a lot of it is getting the reps, right? So a lot of the returning guys, you know what to expect out of them. I think the one for me that you're really looking forward to having a good year would probably be Burakovsky. Got to see some of the game, and obviously his speed is there, everything else. Hopefully this year big thing for him, just stay healthy, right? Obviously, he's only played in both seasons of his 49 games. So to be healthy, he can be a huge asset, especially when we're talking about power play, breakouts, entries. You know, he can be a one-man zone entry. He can get in and weave through, cut through the penalty killers. And we look at his shot. We look at what he can do with the playmaking side. He got some time playing with Stevenson in practice as well with Jaden Schwartz. So, I mean, you look at all these guys and you start looking at who the line combinations could be. You know, that's the guy for me that I'm looking at. All right, if he can be healthy, he can play to the level that we all see the skill. We know that that's there. That's not a question of whether or not he has enough skill to be, you know, a dominant player in the National Hockey League. So just to have that, I mean, a lot of that is luck too. There's luck involved with, you know, being healthy. I mean, fortunately for me, I never really had too many major injuries that I would say that were, obviously, I guess I lied. I just lied right now. I broke my hand. I broke my collarbone.
And your hip?
But
even in your retirement, you had to get your hip fixed.
All right, I lied. I lied. So I had a couple of injuries, okay? But, like, there's nothing I could have done to prevent those. How about that?
Sure.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
There's now you got me all flustered because I just lied right to everybody.
No, you didn't.
I'm not going to edit it out either.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, please don't. Please don't. But there's a little bit of luck that when it comes to that, right? Of, you know, the wrong thing, ankle can twist, you name it, anything can happen within this game, and you know that's part of even some of the best teams. If you're not healthy at the end of the year, it's a tough road ahead. So you just hope for him to be healthy. I think we've seen in glimpses of how good he can be, and if we can get a full season out of Andre Burakovsky to be able to help and continue to produce, you know, I think that puts the Kraken into a really good spot. Obviously, this is all, you go on paper, anything can happen. We've seen things can change, however things work, but I like right now that we're at the spot where we can look at the paper and be like, all right, I like this.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah. It's the privilege of the beginning of the year, right? When everyone's all charged up from the summer and the vibes are high.
Unbridled optimism is all we have right now.
Exactly. Unbridled optimism at this point. We got to ride the vibes.
Yep.
Ride the vibes. How about any of the younger guys or some of the guys that have already been sent to Coachella Valley or back to their junior teams? Just anybody in camp that you were like, interesting. Nice to see how you've been coming along.
Yeah, I mean, I think the forward depth in camp was very, very, very good. Go up and down, you know, a lot of the guys that got sent back. But for me, I think probably the one that made the most impact, probably Jacob Melanson when he was on the ice. I noticed it. I think the other team noticed it. And I could see, you know, there was many times where he was getting under the skin. And I think that for me, maybe I'm just drawn to that type of player.
Because it's the kind of player you were a little bit.
A much more similar style. Just not afraid to get in those corners. He's physical. He gets in the front net. He brings the battle to the other team. And it's not something, especially you see a lot of younger players, but even just in the NHL in general, it's kind of gone away from that style. And it's not necessarily saying you have to go fight everybody. It's not saying that you have to go cross the line. And, you know, through preseason, didn't do that. He played very physical and just kind of wore down teams. You could see it in the way his forechecking pressure was. So a guy like that, I think that every team needs some sandpaper. They need a little bit of grit to be able to play, especially, you know, there are roles. Not everybody's going to go out there and score 50 goals for your team. So you need some players that are willing to do things that others won't. And I think you got a little bit of glimpse of that. And obviously he's on his way. He's still working. He's still on his path. But, you know, when he does eventually get to that point, I think he will have a good NHL career if he can continue down that path. And I also think you have to look at a guy like Berkeley Kent as well. Like, obviously not as much time did we get to see him.
He's still very young. He's a baby bird.
Yes, but I think
baby squid.
The skill, you get to see why he was drafted as high as he was, right? We get to watch him in practice. We get to see the poise that he has, the stick ability. He has patience in situations where most players at his age wouldn't have, or the confidence that they probably shouldn't have going up here when you're up here against National Hockey League players and whether it's practice or a preseason game, you know, to show that confidence. He is a young player, but just from the glimpses and just seeing him in practice, you know why he was drafted as high as he was. And again, a type of player that has a very, very, very high ceiling. So as far as the young guys, I mean, those were probably two. I mean, but you could go up and down the list. I mean, I look at a guy like Ryan Winterton. Ben Myers had a really good camp as well. But for me, I guess for guys that got sent down, you know, he gets at him that he's had experience. Ben Myers has. But, you know, I think for me, just looking at some of those guys, and that's the part of what also makes it exciting, because anything can happen this season. Those guys can get a call up. They can come get 5 or 6 games, and you've saw in preseason that if that call comes, they're ready. And they can come in right away and they can contribute. So that makes it, not only for the veterans, it pushes them, but it also shows, hey, we got a group of guys that are down in Coachella Valley that they're almost there.
They're
they might
hungry.
be ready. They're ready to go. Exactly.
And they're hungry. I want to go back really quick to Jacob Melanson because I was talking to him the other day, and he when he was asked what kind of message he wants to send to the fans and to the organization, he's like, I really want the message to be that I'm a guy that brings energy and that I'm not afraid to be in the corners and win those kind of battles. But then I asked him, I was like, how much pride do you take, especially as a younger player, in being that guy who brings that physicality? And he kind of laughed, and I could tell that he was like, yeah, not a lot of players my age want to play that role. It's not the kind of role that is appealing, and he clearly sees so much opportunity for him in that. He's totally leaning into it, and I love, you always see him smiling. Like he's almost got a little bit of that Yanni energy, like he's feeding off of the fact that he's getting under people's skin, and that's fun to watch. It's fun to watch.
Well, I mean, we saw it in the Calgary game. I believe he went and he took 2 good runs. Mm-hmm. And then literally the very next player it might have been versus Edmonton. It was in Edmonton. I believe it was Ekholm that took the penalty right after, and it was like, man, he went after. He literally took 2 runs and just obviously everything. There were clean hits, strong hits, physical. They felt the presence, and then it got to the other side, and like they took a penalty, tripped him, pulled him down, and he's like, oh my God, they already got him. That was 20 seconds ago that he just laid 2 good body checks, and then the guy goes back and takes a penalty. And I'm like, all right, that's where you can get guys to go across that line, even with you not going there. And again, that's the part where obviously smiling, it's working, you're getting under people's skin, much like a guy like Yanni can, much like a guy like Tanev can get under your skin as well. And it's still needed. It's still needed around the game. Obviously, we're not even talking about like the fighting aspect, which they've gone away, but you still need to play physical. You still need to open up space for everybody else. And that's what it hasn't been I guess a focal point as far as the team's concerned. But at the same time, every now and then you get a guy like Hayden, he gets called up, he throws a little bit. You have a guy like Alexiak that's not afraid every once in a while. So Borgen, belligerent Bill, it plays with a little bit of sandpaper as well. So when you can start adding a few more of those pieces around, obviously, that time for Melanson, it's coming. And when it does, it's going to be fun to watch. I'll tell you that.
It's always great to have those kind of guys because you think about like favorite players that fans have, and you've got your goal scorers and everything like that. But I mean,
and then you have your JT Brown.
Yeah, but I grew up as an Avalanche fan, really loving Ian LaPerriere. Like I didn't score a ton of goals, but you know what he did? He mixed it up in the corners, and so it's I think having that presence on the team, like you said, is just as important, not only from, drawing penalties and things like that, but fans really like to see it. I mean, it's a much more fun game.
Well, they're type of players that can change the energy of a game.
Exactly.
Obviously, we look at a lot of times like a fight can change the energy of a game, but it doesn't always have to be that way. You have to have 2 willing combatants to fight. Like a lot of the times nowadays, the fights are basically off of a bad hit, right? There's not really that staged fighting anymore just to change the momentum of a game. And another way to do it is a big hit. Right? Like you go in.
Good, clean hit, yeah.
Other team scores a goal, you throw out, your fourth line or your guys that are willing to go out there to do it, and all they got to do is go 100 miles an hour, try to put somebody through the boards, and all of a sudden every fan is standing up again, even though the vibe just kind of took a little nosedive because the other team may have scored, but it just brings that energy right back to it. Your team gets re-energized. Now they're barking as they come off the ice back and forth. It just kind of like a player like that can bring that energy, and we saw some of that in the preseason, and for me, it's very fun to watch.
Yeah. I was going to say, I was like, that's honestly one of my favorite parts about hockey as a sport is that it is that game of emotion. It is that mental game on top of being such a high level physical and skill game as well. Yeah. The fact that you can turn the tides, turn the momentum of the game just by even like the right chirp at the right time to the right guy can literally change an outcome in a way, or it could. It has the potential to.
It's so much more than X's and O's. Like I mean, there's something to be said for that clinical, like, oh, we're cycling really well. We're doing the power play the way we're supposed to.
You got to have the heart, though. You have to have some heart, right?
Oh, yeah. Good old-fashioned hit.
It's the thing that you can't measure, right? Like, you can look at a player, you can look at their stat sheet for, their entire career. And, yeah, sure, hits is a category out there, a category on many of the stat sites. And you look at it and you're like, oh, all right, this guy has lots of hits. But, like, the heart thing is a different aspect and what they can bring. And a lot of times that's just not... There's no way to really quantify that, but we can look at the goals, the assists, the points, and what somebody's able to do. but there's players that, that heart and soul type player that you need on every team. And if you look at every team that's ever won, you're going to find multiple.
Yeah.
I think that's also another thing, kind of going back to what we talked about earlier with Brandon Montour. I think that's something he brings as well. It's not maybe that chaotic madman energy as much, but it is still a positive energy, right? Like it is a vibe on the ice, and that's good.
Well, and then you find somebody that can do both, right? He's going to find himself on the score sheet, but he's also he'll take a slashing penalty every now and then. He'll get the little wires might cross in front of the net, but at the same time, more often than not, he's going to stay below the line. And, that's what makes a player like that effective, especially when you're talking about chirping. Like, how do you chirp a guy that's getting in your face and he's putting up the numbers that he does? Like, it's easier when the guy has 5 points and you're like, you're bad at hockey. You have 5 points. What do you say to a guy like Montour that's getting in your face and he's upsetting you and he's got 50 points on the year right now? You're like, well, all right. Well, I'm going to go back to the bench. I know where my spot is. I'm going to go sit over here.
Yeah.
That should be a new stat. Drawn penalties. Like a guy who gets, a penalty called, for him. Like that's.
I'm sure there are some analytic sites that that definitely track some stuff like that.
I think it'd be worth Allison. It. You have penalties for and against. I think would be pretty almost like a plus minus. I think it'd be pretty interesting.
I'm sure that's measured somewhere.
Somebody's tracking it. Yeah.
This conversation makes me want to ask you, JT, who of everyone that you've played with, who is the best at just like dishing a scathing chirp? Just a scathing chirp.
That I played with
or against, I guess. Anybody that you encountered that you're like, oh man. Lethal in the chirp column on the stats sheet.
I love it. That's a tough one because there's a lot of guys that definitely bark. Marshawn likes to bark a lot. I think the one that was probably the worst, but it wasn't even like it's because it was true. That's actually probably why we was I can't remember when or what year it was, but we were playing and it was Lucic. He grabbed onto myself and Tyler Johnson, at the collar with both of us. Oh. And I'm like, he's like, I'll beat the you-know-what out of both of you at the same time. And I was just like, yeah, I'm going to take my hand off of you and say, yeah, you are probably right. I'm going to walk away from this one. So like that one, like it wasn't even a bad one, but I was like, it was just true. And it kind of hurt my soul a little bit. I didn't see any way that we were getting out of that alive, even with the two of us. So yeah, props to him on that one. He's a lot tougher than I was.
And hey, shout out Tyler Johnson, Spokane, Washington native. A salute.
Sorry, John. I didn't mean to put that one out there.
No, he's a good guy. He's a humble guy. I'm sure that resonated with him as well.
No, but I mean, there's plenty of guys that get under your skin and that definitely can chirp. So I mean, some guys do a little homework and they know. So.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to move into looking at the regular season ahead. Obviously, we've talked about camp and the preseason a little bit, but just kind of the schedule. Any thoughts? I mean, obviously, home opener 1:30 p.m. on Tuesday. Hooky for hockey, everybody. Hooky for hockey. We will see you there. But what about beyond that?
Well, you just got to get your doctor's notes ready for that first one.
Bowie's gotcha.
I think it's a tough first road trip, right? Like you have Minnesota, Dallas, and a back-to-back. Nashville. I mean, there's a lot of every game in the National Hockey. Let's just start by saying that is a tough game. But the schedule doesn't really do you any favors to start the year, so it's going to be important for the Kraken to get off to a good start. First off, like you said, getting an afternoon game for the home opener is something you're not quite adjusted to yet. It's a different time. It always is, having those afternoon games. But then also you have a stretch before you get on the road and you play your first road game. Between game one and game number two, there's some time in between there, so it's a little bit different than you would normally think. And then you get into a back-to-back. Minnesota to Dallas is not a fun flight for a back-to-back.
It's not a fun flight, and those are two teams that will wear you down as well, and especially in a back-to-back situation.
You don't change time zones and you get to gain an hour back or anything like that. Right. It's in the same time zone, so that's a tough one. So it is a tough stretch. Obviously you play it game by game, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you're playing, even if all the first 5-6 games are at home. You want to get off to a good start, and that's kind of the most important thing, especially new coaching staff. We have new systems. You have all this newness, which does take time. That's why the preseason is really important this year. That's why the reps were really important this year. But I look forward to the season and just seeing everything come together, right? There's no magic switch that you can just flip on and be ready for the regular season. And that's what all the hard work from, you know, the moment the last game, the last double zeros went off until now, like that is what all that work was for. And so you kind of get to that moment and you'll get to see it. I think the energy, especially on game one, is going to be out of this world. I know that preseason, it's not a regular game and the energy can be there in different spots and timings, but it's a whole different animal when you get to the first game of the regular season. And
you got 2 points on the line.
Yes, you get counts. 2 points. Yes. You get to see what it's all about, but it's also, you found your group, right? You have your group. This is the first game with your team, right? Obviously, I feel like at times you still have everybody that got sent down to, you know, especially to Coachella Valley. They're still part of the team. They will be a part of the team at some point, whether it's a call up, you know, obviously they help get you ready for this, you know, the start, and they have their own season down there. So it still is a team mentality, but you have your group and now you're ready to go. So excited for that first game and to see what happens from there on out.
So we would love to see everybody in any one of these home games coming up in the regular season. But we did want to take a moment to acknowledge that the Kraken are hosting, bringing back another really fun event for fans to get into Climate Pledge Arena and experience kind of a game day, feel a little bit, kind of see the players in a little bit of a more casual, different light. And that is the Super Skills Showcase. It's happening on November 9th. From 1:30 p.m. to 2:45 p.m. Tickets are only $15 a person or $12.50 each for a 4-pack. And they're just general admission seating in the lower bowl. There's going to be some discounted concessions as well. So it's a great opportunity to get into Climate Pledge Arena and kind of get to experience the game day atmosphere a little bit. I have been privy to learning what some of the actual tests, some of the actual skills that will be on display are. So JT, I wanted to maybe do a little bit of like predictions. Like who do you think might do well in these categories? So for everyone, it's going to be Team Decord versus Team Grubauer. In the past, they got to, I believe they just like drafted their own teams, like picked their own teams. I would assume that's what they're doing again this year. I don't necessarily know how the teams will be decided, but the categories are hardest shot, accuracy, obstacle course, breakaway, and 3-on-3. The 3-on-3 is probably hard to predict because we don't know what their combinations are, but we can do the other ones.
So, all right, I already forgot. I know there's hardest shot. I'm trying to remember what the winning number was the last couple of years, because I remember at, I think it was Media Day, Monty shot 99. So I think he might be able to get up to that 100 mark. I definitely, it might have been like 99.9 when I believe I saw a Instagram or something like that of Monty shooting 90. So I'm gonna pick him for the hardest shot. I think, you know, obviously coming to a new team, new fans, he's gonna want to impress as well, right? So he's gonna go. He's gonna give 100% effort on the hardest shot. So I'll take him for that one. You said accuracy shooting. Okay, I'm gonna. McCann is. I'm trying to remember. See, again, my memory is already bad. Like I already forgot who won these things in the last one.
I can't remember exactly who won, but I do recall that Jordan Eberle did quite well, and that McCann. I believe McCann like crushed a bunch of the targets, and then like struggled really hard on like the last one or something. But I think either way. I believe those two did well.
I'm not going to go with either of them. Okay. I'm going to go with Tolvanen.
Ooh, I like that pick.
So, you know, I'm going to go with the underdog here. All right. I don't know what the odds may be for this one, but yeah, I'm going to take them.
All right. I
think that's a solid bet.
I like that. How about obstacle course?
Now, it depends what type of obstacles are. Like, are they running through walls? Like, do they have, like, physical structures that they have to run through? Because then I might pick a guy like Tanev or Gourde, you know, like, that might actually just put their body in harm's way to go run through a wall. But if it's like, are we talking about, like, stick handling through puck, like cones, lifting the puck, getting up over? Like, there's many things we could do.
In the past, it was more things like the ladder that you just named, lots of cones. They had, like, the black pads laid out so that there was certain kind of paths you kind of had to move around. There was no walls or those bodies, the dummy bodies, the mannequins. They did not have those. It'd be hilarious if we could get those integrated.
Like, we need to integrate that in.
Like I'm thinking that's great. Like the football, you know, when they give the running back the ball and they got to run through and they got all the pads. Like that's what I'm thinking. Like, can we get a hockey player to skate right through that? We can probably borrow one of those machines from the Seahawks down the road or the Huskies and get the players to just see who can skate through it.
Is it still effective on the ice though? I mean, we have to figure out some resistance.
We can find something. Management will not go for that. I can promise you. There's no way they're going to let the players. Maybe I'll do it if you find a way. If you find a way to get the. I don't know what that machine is called, but I know that in practice.
I have no idea.
But you know what the machine I'm talking about, right?
Like you want to break your other hip,
I can visualize it.
I think that'd be hilarious. No, okay. So back being serious again. Let's think about this. Ooh,
I'm pretty sure I recall that Tanev did do well with this.
Yeah, I just
once upon
I don't
time.
remember.
Is it like 2 years ago?
Is it a single player or is it like a group? Like they have
like the relay,
like a relay type.
I don't think
just one.
I don't think it's a relay. I think it's individual.
Okay,
I believe.
All right, I'm gonna go. I'm taking another new guy. I'm going with Chandler Stevenson.
Oh, okay.
I think that's a safe bet. He's got a lot of skill. He's got speed. So a little combination of not just speed, not just hands, a little bit of everything.
Love it.
I like that.
Love it.
Also, fans, for the record, we have learned that Chandler Stevenson strongly prefers to be called Stevie. He told Allison that the only person who calls him Chandler is his grandmother. So take that as you will to our new fan base. If you hear us all, referring to him as Stevie, I guess that's his preferred reference. Okay. So
a lot of new nicknames we got to learn.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still fine. It is his name to call him Chandler Stevenson.
Sure.
But
it's his government.
That is his government name. That is his government name. All right, how about breakaway?
Ooh. Now, another question. We may not have the answer. I believe in the past it was not Grubia Decord in goal. They brought in other goaltenders.
Correct. They used our e-bugs in the past. And I believe that's what they're doing. I would think that's what they're doing for this as well, because it's team Decord and Grubauer. And in the past, like Driegs won both of these in the past when he was a captain.
Another question. Are we going for the most creative move? Like, are we just saying, because I don't know, because I think it's like we're holding up numbers, right? See who gets the best move, right? Or are we doing, you keep going until you miss a breakaway?
I'm pretty sure what they did was it was like judged on swag. You had to make it, but I believe it was judged on like a Fancy Dan move, because I'm using a John Forslandism, a Fancy Dan move.
And why not a Fancy Edzo move?
Because he's not the one who says it. It's right. That's John's thing, right? Because I'm pretty sure
if you don't make the shot,
doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
Right, because I recall, and again, memory is fleeting.
Yeah.
We watch so much hockey, folks. So just take it with a grain of salt. But I'm pretty sure that Jordan Eberle tried to pull something super incredible, and then he missed it, and so he didn't win it, and he was rattled. But the move was like absolutely incredible.
That's a shame.
And he was like, oh, because the hands on that guy.
Like, I'm gonna go with Matty.
Oh, all right.
Oh, I like this choice.
I think he's gonna come out with something. He's gonna plan something. All right, there's gonna be some cool move, and you know what? When it gets closer to time, I'm going to tell him that he needs to do something crazy so that I can win, even though I'm winning nothing. But
one thing about JT,
you're kind of stuffing the ballot box here. It sounds like.
Hey, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Okay.
JT is extremely competitive, for folks who might not be aware. Competitive about things you wouldn't even imagine you could be competitive about sometimes.
Things that aren't, like, they're just not important. Like, there's no reason to be competitive about it.
But that's the greatest things to get fired up about, because in the end, it doesn't matter.
Well, no, it always matters. I'm not trying to lose at anything.
No.
Never.
Yeah,
I'm the last person you want to argue with.
You should hear.
I can lose I can be dead wrong, and I will still keep arguing just because I don't want to lose. I'll never give in.
And then I'll start taking like cheap shots, like personal cuts.
Okay, time out. Every once in a while. Fine.
Especially if it is ever it fits you. If JT and Fitz are in a scrap, it's like oof.
Well,
I usually just turn around on the bus and disengage. I'm like, I'm not going to participate in this any longer.
Fair enough. Okay.
And then it ends up being Fitz tapping me on the shoulder. Piper, what do you think? Okay, help us settle this.
Oh, you're getting roped into this?
And only if it's really bad. And then I usually just disengage. I'm a big disengager.
This kind of it kind of brings up a fun question we got from somebody. Like, your game day prep for the broadcast, like how much of it is you guys just getting loose before airtime? Like what does it look like for you guys on game day before a broadcast starts?
Usually get there around 3:30 is probably a fair time for me.
Okay.
Before a 7 o'clock game. But a lot of time it's just, we're just talking. We're putting on, especially being on the West Coast, it's very nice because we get to turn on the TV, and during the regular season, you watch other games. You can watch, teams you're getting ready to play. But for me, it's more about relaxing. All the work is already done at that point, whether it's in the morning, coming to pregame skates, seeing who's playing, seeing the lines, adjusting different things, taking. Obviously, Piper, you always have brilliant questions for the coach. We're writing down different things that the coach may have said that we can use during, the broadcast. So we're kind of taking all that information. You can use the stat sheets. We're doing that the night before or in the morning, before the game. But for me, I don't like doing anything once I get to the rink. That's kind of like let your brain just kind of turn off for the next, I get there at 3:30 and by, what are we on at 6:30 usually is the pregame. So you get a little bit of time to just kind of relax because once 6:30 turns, your brain has to be on for the next couple of hours. So for me, no working. It's actually pretty easy. Once we get to the rink, it's, all the prep work that's being done, in the morning and then the night before that actually is the harder part of it. And then also just watching, a lot of hockey, which is not really hard. But it's just the time-consuming part of knowing you want to know enough about the other teams as well that you're playing and getting to see, what they're like versus, again, we talked about the stat sheet. You can just look at the stat sheet, but there's things that you will not get from just looking at what they've, their record over the last, 5 to 10 games.
Yeah.
Well, and your role obviously too is so much about being able to read and react in live time and offer that analysis, which is not really something you can prepare a ton for because you don't know what's going to happen, and that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is you prepare and you keep preparing until you feel like you can't do anymore. You just do a little bit more past that, and then you might not use any of it.
Yeah, probably not. You probably won't.
I mean, that's usually how it goes. I mean, you have so many things, and whether it. Again, you let the game tell the story, right? Instead of trying to go in and create my own story of what I heard or what I read or what I saw on the stat sheet. No, I'm focusing on what's going on in the game right now. And that might not be, man, I had a great stat or something that I was going to pull up, but it just didn't resonate. It didn't work. And you know what? But I went into the game knowing that I was ready. I had the notes and I had everything prepared. And I think that's was it, I don't want to say a wasted time, but it's just knowledge. Hey, you know what? You're going to use that next time, or you're going to use it in a different spot. It may not be in that game. You don't have to force it into that situation. So, again, that's one thing with getting to work with John and Edzo and, obviously talking to people around the league as well and, getting to pick their brains and, may not have to use. You don't have to cram everything into, one broadcast. You definitely can use. You're not going to use everything you write down, but that's okay.
Right.
Yeah. For me, kind of completely different because, well, not completely different, but just obviously my role is functionally different. I'm not here to offer my thoughts. I'm not here to offer my analysis. I am here to report what it is that the coach said and what the players said, So my prep is so much more of like the night before and kind of anticipating what stories JT, John, and our, great producer Ryan Shaber and Scott Malone for pregame, like what they might want to highlight heading into a particular matchup. So for me, that is being very keyed into kind of pretty similar to what JT said, but like anything that might be a story that is worth sharing or color that is worth investigating into a little bit. Because for me, a big part of my game day starts at morning skate. I'm not just there to watch. That's when we go do media, and that's when we go talk to players and talk to coach to find out if there are any validity to any of these, ideas that we have or kind of how they're feeling that day. And then throughout the afternoon, that's where we're kind of feeling out where these things fit or maybe don't fit. So for me, it's a lot of that, that anticipatory prep in a way, but ultimately it is whatever they tell me, resonates or doesn't resonate. Yeah. Sometimes you might go into something and you're like, oh, this has got to be what they want to talk about. And it's like, no, that's nothing to us today. And it's like, okay. And my job, I'm a reporter. It is my job just to tell you what they said, not what I think about it. Right.
Love it.
So for me, it's that. And then it's also, typically we have like a bench interview, like a pregame bench interview. So kind of planning how those questions might fit into the overall narrative of, the pregame show and whatever it is that John, Eddie, and JT or Allison, whatever they're talking about, kind of giving them something to work off of as well, or something that kind of helps add or complement to the stories that they are telling is kind of that role. And then when it comes to like player interviews for me, like one of the awesome parts of having done this now with this team since its beginning is that I have really good relationships with our players, and I know them. I know what kind of questions they respond well to, what kind of questions they do not respond well to, who is good at speaking about more of an X's and O's thing versus who is not good in the middle of a game. This is not to discredit them, but some of them, like, they're tired, right? Like, they're working their freaking tails off. So sometimes digging into like an X's and O's explanation is just harder to access for some of them while they're sitting there panting and dripping in sweat. But for others, they're right drilled into it, you know, versus a vibes question versus a special teams question. Like, there's just certain things that they have like strengths of speaking in. So a lot of that is leaning on what we know about them as players and as speakers, and, you know, representing them well as well. And Allison pointed out to me one time, she's like, see, that's where your analysis lies, is in highlighting their strengths when it comes to drawing information to help the viewer experience, because ultimately that's what it's for. It is to answer the questions that the fans would want to know in this moment. What is it that the fans are wondering about, and what could we possibly get these players to address in the middle of this game that they're trying to win?
Yep.
So, and also we try to keep them quick and to the point and like get them out of there, because, you know,
they got a game to play.
They have a game to play. You know, when we had the preseason game in Calgary, and I was talking to Vince Dunn, they had like 10 seconds of power play time at the end of the period, and he's the first one off the ice, and obviously he's going to be the first one back on the ice when they go back out for the rest of the power play. So in my mind, I already know it's like we need to address the power play, because that's going to be the first thing that we see when they get back out there, clearly. But it's also like Vince needs to go and sit with the coaches, and like they're going to go dress him up, and he needs to rest up. So we got to get him in and out, and like you know, so it's been awesome though to like kind of have those relationships like start to pay off. But anyway, that's a whole separate thing from prep, but it's a lot of the long-term prep almost too.
Yeah. It's a great answer. Amelia at Cheeky Squid on Twitter had that question for us. So folks, obviously we love questions from y'all. Signals at seattlekraken.com if you'd rather email us, seattlekraken.com/podcast. Or we have a phone number that I don't remember off the top of my head, but I will chirp it at the end of this episode. So just listen for my voice. Thank you. I think we should take a quick break because we are going to have Yanni Gourde join us here very soon. So we're going to throw to an ad, and then we'll be back with Yanni Gourde. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. Single game tickets have emerged from the deep. Now's the chance to get your seats to legendary battles throughout the season. Experience Kraken hockey in person and feel the energy of the crowd for every hit, every shot, and every save. Go to seattlekraken.com/tickets for more info. Join us in the deep on November 9th for the Super Skills Showcase, presented by Washington's Lottery. Bring your family to get an up-close look at Kraken players as they show off their talents in various skills challenges. Tickets are on sale now and start at just $15. Go to seattlekraken.com/superskills for more info.
Welcome back to Signals from the Deep. We are joined by a very, very special guest, Yanni Gourde. Yanni, welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, time out. I got to just something to bring up, because for everybody else, that break that you guys just had was about 30 seconds. I think for us, it was probably closer to like 25 to 30 minutes while we were waiting for Yanni. So you didn't bring me a coffee. No. Could have brought a coffee while we were waiting for you for that long. Piper, you like coffee?
I do. I have an empty mug right here, Yanni. So.
Yeah, and you know what, JT? I love a coffee too. And I was expecting coming in this room that you were going to pour me.
I know your order too.
Yeah, I know.
JT had time to eat 3 packs of fruit snacks and a pack of mini muffins.
Yeah, thanks for the fruit snacks.
So that just got turned back on me. So
it was a long practice and lots of stuff going on.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, obviously you can see why we had to have Yanni on for the episode that JT is co-hosting, clearly. Last episode, we had Brandon Montour on, and we were talking a little bit about games, various games, video games he likes to play on the plane, and I asked him if he was familiar with Super Talk at all, and that did not resonate whatsoever. So we thought since you were coming on, we were going to have to ask about that. What is this game?
It's a board game that you move marbles around. the cards mean different things, so it's very strategic. We've been playing that for a little bit since we got to Seattle, and guys love it.
Did you introduce that game, or where'd you pick it up at?
We played that game in Tampa on the plane, and maybe not when you were there, JT, after you left. So
I know I've been out of the league for a while. Like, I don't know what this game is. What happened to regular games like Sharp 7 up, 7 down? Any of that you still play, or like what's the deal?
7-ups is the other table are playing that, so we changed it up a little bit, and it's been fun.
Rate your skills out of 10. Like, how good are you at this? It's kind of like Sorry. Like, is that a fair representation?
Yeah.
But with cards.
Yeah, with cards and different meaning,
but similar. Like, similar, so along the same line. Yeah. So like, rate out of 10. How would you say your skills are?
I'm pretty good.
With the rest of the team, with the rest of the players playing the game, say the same thing though.
Yes, absolutely. And it's everybody knows that I might be the better player at that.
So. Game. You brought this game to the team, and now you're winning every single time. I mean, I think something might be going on.
Sounds like a racket
check
to me,
the cards.
Yeah.
You got
it's not my fault if they don't pick it up as quick as I did. Though.
I was going to say, I was like, you must be very good at it to justify carrying that board around with you on the plane every trip.
That's true.
It's been 3 years. They can't figure it out yet. Like, it's not my fault. I mean, I'm doing my job.
I'm going to make sure everybody listens to this, and they're going to come together and conspire to beat you at this game.
Will Borgen's a good player. Maddie's just learning it, so he's getting there. Berkey's been trying to learn it for 2 years, still struggled.
I was going to say,
he's my partner, and we're doing pretty well.
So it's partners?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Again, I don't know anything about this game. I see you carrying this giant board.
It's not that big. It's not that big.
It's like 3 laptop computers combined.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So it doesn't fit in a backpack.
No.
Like an easier, any type of game with
like
just
a
cards.
special carrying case just for this game.
No, it's just a board.
Okay.
I've seen you leave it a few times on.
Yeah, you got to drop it on the concrete, and leave some character marks on it. Like it's a nice looking board now.
It's a storied board, and it's a key part of the lore of the Kraken travel plan.
This one's a serious question here, Yanni. I think everybody kind of knows the lore of like Adam Larson's like deep V, that's going on, that keeps getting lower and lower. But my question for you is, what is your beef with wearing a shirt? Like, do you not have shirts that fit? Are they not comfy enough? Like, at this point, like, I feel like you're just trying to show off.
No.
Like, I'm sitting there trying to go to the plane, go to the taco bar, get a nice little taco, make it up. But then you got, like, no shirt ever. Like, it's your thing. Like, I don't know. Like, what is your problem with T-shirts?
I'm just, I get to the plane, and it's too hot, so I just take my shirt off. And I also don't want to ruin it. I don't want to get it dirty, so I take it off, and it just happened to go next to you every time and kind of flex a little bit, so
That's what I'm saying. It's starting to get a little bit disrespectful. Every single time that I'm going to the food tray, you have to be there. Tarp's optional always. So
Tarp's optional.
Well, it sounds like it's working. It's getting in your head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make me go back to the gym. Well, hey, here I am.
JT, you have been going back to the gym for the first time since I've known you. Good for you.
Yeah.
I heard about it too. I heard about
this isn't news.
Yeah.
He's been complaining.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm so sore. It's like we're on a plane full of athletes. Former athlete here pouting about working out.
I don't like the way this is already. This is turned
going
already.
Going to the tacos station 2-3 times.
Hey,
once would be okay. Home, you don't have to.
At home, I can do. I can stay with a regime, but when I go on the road, it's too hard. You just gotta let loose sometimes. You gotta eat the tacos. Gotta go to get the Yozas from Joey's as well. So
you gotta give it a try.
Definitely.
I'll try everything.
They call it the Never Hungry League for a reason, right?
Absolutely.
Very, very true.
Yanni, I wanted to ask you, if you had to bunk with one teammate, if you guys were back in the days where you had roommates and you had to pick someone for the whole season, every single road trip, you're sharing a room with this guy.
Not that guy.
It's not JT. Who would you pick though?
I think I would go with Tolvi. He's a good kid. I like him a lot. I like joking around with him. He gets on my nerve a lot, so it works. Our friendship works pretty well. So
that's a pretty good one. I don't know if I would have.
No,
I like it.
I can see
like
why
it.
he would be
No,
good though,
no,
because
I
I
do.
can see him being fun and
we-
playful, but
we
also like
play-
respectful when it matters.
Yeah, we play tennis. Probably
good balance.
Yeah. No, we
play tennis?
Yeah, we play tennis.
Who wins that?
I think he's better than me. I think so.
No.
Well, honesty there.
Yeah,
I like
I'm,
it.
I'm a
I like
very
it.
honest person.
Another
I don't know why you're questioning that.
another question I have for you, which is a very sore subject for JT.
Again,
How do
how many
you
subject are we going?
how do
through?
you feel about vegetables? Do you have worst ones, favorite ones? Do you eat none?
I eat pretty much all vegetables. I'm not
good for
very
you.
difficult with that. Any favorite one? I don't. Yeah, I don't really care. I eat whatever is on my plate.
JT, how about you?
Nope. Still, I eat broccoli. but
Only the tops.
Only the top of the broccoli. Though.
Okay,
That's,
yeah.
that's about the only vegetable I like.
JT told me last night he will pick the tiny diced onions out of fried rice.
Yeah.
He will go that far.
And carrots too. No, I'm not doing that.
No,
Like, Jesus.
Wow.
I'm like, how I can't believe you were able to sustain life as a professional athlete without eating any vegetables ever.
Metabolism. You just eat.
Just got to work that much harder.
Yeah, some people.
That's not my
just
fault.
are
I don't like
natural-
them. All right, you know,
natural.
It's fine.
blame my parents for not forcing me to eat vegetables. All right,
It's fine.
And so now I have this thing where I just don't like vegetables. I'm not going to eat them. No one can change my mind.
I just thought it was a good opportunity to roast you and make Yanni look good with the opportunity.
Yeah, but I'm not going to
wasn't
go
that.
that far. I'm not going to roast you for that.
Oh, well, I am.
Yeah.
Roast you like a vegetable.
Yeah.
All right, different question for you. Okay, we're getting away from the vegetables. It's on the line. So, all right, you need to kiss, marry, and kill a hockey stick. So you gotta keep one. You know what I mean? You know the game. All right, so I'm gonna give you 3 hockey sticks.
Ooh, I like this.
Easton Synergy,
Yeah. That was a good one.
TPS Response, and the RBK 9K. Which one are we getting rid of? What's the rotation?
Killed TPS. Yeah, and then
Okay.
JT's sweating.
yeah, I would probably marry the Synergy. I like that stick a lot.
That's the only right answer there. Okay.
And then fuck the other one.
The RBK.
Yeah,
The 9K. You don't remember?
is that the one with black and white?
Well, I know it's 9K. I'm just trying to think if that's. I just picked one that I
Yeah,
knew that you were
I-
going to get rid of. It was mainly the question was between the other two. I
Yeah,
didn't want it to
okay,
make
sure.
it too hard for you.
Yeah.
See,
I
now
mean-
you should have kept the TPS response. Like that one was
No,
okay.
Doesn't sound good.
Like, do I need to send you a picture? Like, do I need to show you these sticks again so you can see
Maybe,
this?
possibly, but I'm. You know what? I don't even know what stick I'm using right now, so I don't know why we're talking.
That's a
about
problem.
sticks.
That is.
No, I know, but
Are you
no,
not?
I actually don't.
But yeah, but your
I'm not-
stick's a lot different. Like they're different than what we back in that day. The
Yeah.
Synergy, like, and they're all custom now, so you can
Right.
have different
Yeah, the
graphics
graphic
and
is
panels. So
different,
like
yeah.
you can be using a stick from 4 years ago, but it's still updated as far as the look to be what it is now.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a secret, but like, yeah, the ones
I
that are
love
in the
it.
store are not the same ones that they're using.
So Yanni, are you not super particular about your stick then? Or are you just kind of more open to like mixing it up?
No, I am pretty particular about my stick. Once I like something, I really like it, and I don't really change that often. I grabbed Maddie's stick last year, and I loved it, so I've been using that one for a while. Yeah, this one with holes in it.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one you're okay with that one?
That's the
I
RBK.
actually didn't mind that stick.
Oh
I
my
played with that
gosh!
stick. How weird is that? They should bring that back.
Oh, please don't, please don't. All right, all right.
I can't see the phone across the table. That's the RBK.
Yeah, do you remember?
So you hate this.
Yeah, that
but
one's
Yanni
gone.
likes
Bye,
it.
bye. Goodbye.
All right.
Let me see.
Okay. All
That's
right.
the
All
one you
right.
wanted.
Remember when it had all the holes in it?
Yeah. How do you tape that properly?
Well, no, not the one. There was one with the blade, but
Oh, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
remember what that one was called. But end of the day, you made the wrong decision.
Sure.
I don't think you're gonna tell him that
You know
respectfully.
Better. You know better.
Speed holes. You got to get those speed holes in there, right?
We were discussing how competitive JT is. Have you guys gotten into? Have you ever gotten into a heated debate with this one, Yanni?
Probably a lot, but none that I remember very specifically. But we were sitting next to one another in Tampa, and we would go go at it about anything, like the amount of we would go on a stick. Like
It could even be like after shooting the sock tape into the basket, competitive with that stuff.
The laces, like how quick we would go with the laces. I remember like one time he's like, okay, you take the laces off without cutting them, and I'm gonna cut my laces and then see who gets them the quickest. So just so we have an idea, and it was like pretty much the same time. But
I might have edged it. Yeah, who knows? We'll have to go back to the video tape that's no longer existent, but you know.
It sounds about right. You guys have got to be two of the most competitive people that I know, so I'll believe it.
It's all in fun. But no, they're just little games like that. We were talking, Grant, though, earlier, like it doesn't have to be anything that you should be that competitive about. Like how fast can you untie your skates and like to get the new laces in?
Yeah.
That's stupid. But hey, guess what?
Hey, it's another thing to show that you're good at, right?
Yeah, we stayed busy. We stayed busy.
So one of the things we were talking about earlier is the Super Skills Showcase that's coming up. I don't know if you guys have been made aware of what the skills that you will be competing against are, but I know, and we can share with you. We wanted to get maybe your predictions, just like face value, who you might think would do well in these. JT made his predictions, so we can discuss.
I think I'm gonna get a couple right.
It's in November.
I did not pick you.
No,
I'm just
please don't pick me for those.
We also don't have 100% clarity on like exactly how some of them will look, but you know how it was in the past. So the first one is hardest shot.
I'll go Jamie Alexiak.
Okay.
Right.
You probably went McCann.
No. I went with Monty.
Oh, yeah.
I saw the Instagram thing or something where he shot like 99.9 at the like the media day. So I was like, all right,
that's a good point. Yeah.
Fair enough.
The next one is accuracy. I think that's one you guys have done too.
Yes, accuracy. Jordan Eberle, I think.
Okay.
What'd you go with?
Tolvin. I got a little underdog here because I feel like it would have been Everly or McCann is probably like for me it would be the top, and then I'm like, all right, well I'm gonna pick somebody that
Sleeper
I think.
pick.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on how hard you're shooting those on the target. So I don't know.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
We're gonna come back to this when it's all said and done and see who got more correct.
November 9th is when this is happening, so we got a little bit of time to get into the groove. The next one was obstacle course, which I don't know if you remember how it was in the past, but I'm assuming it's going to be similar.
Probably go with Maddie.
That's a good one.
Would you pick?
Stevie? Isn't that what I picked?
Yeah, you picked Stevie.
It's a good pick.
No, it's absolutely.
Okay.
I think. Well,
you can't really go wrong.
No, I mean there's good players on this team.
Well,
that's
a perfect answer for a teammate. I can say there can be wrong answers. I'm not going to, though.
I don't know. I mean, there's clear skill sets.
I mean, if you said Will Borgen, I would have said I would maybe disagree. But I think he would as well. Yeah, I love him.
Yeah.
Well, the same reason I said I didn't pick you. Come on.
I was going to say, I think Will would also agree with that. I don't think he's putting his hat too much
Although
in
I
that
did say, hold on, if we said it was an obstacle course, I don't know if you know this, but like, have you ever seen like football practice when like the football player, they get they take the ball and they have to run through the obstacle and like try to get through without fumbling the ball? I said, if they could put that on the ice, I would like to see you and Tanev go through it and see who gets through first.
Yeah. Okay. That would be a good.
All right, let's set it up for next year. Let's do it. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a sanctioned activity on the ice. I feel like that's a bad idea.
Let's talk to our friends at the Seahawks, get some equipment. I think it'll be perfect.
Then the next one is breakaway.
Okay.
And we believe that how it was in the past was where it was like judged on how kind of fancy you could do it, but you also had to actually score.
If you're gonna score, I think I'd take Bjorkstrand. If you're gonna make a skill play, I like something like really nice and skilled that people are gonna enjoy watching. I'd say a Maddie.
Okay.
You took Maddie.
Yeah, because I think you have to go based off like the theater aspect too, right? Like you have to still score, but you got to put some fun into it, like not just go down and take a slap shot and score on the goal.
Maddie's not that fun though, but he's very skilled. I'm joking. Maddie's he's fun.
Well, we got one of the
he's
same.
No,
he did say Maddie. Well, you can't have two, so let's.
Oh, okay.
Based on the fact that you have to have
you chose Maddie. I'll go Bjorky.
Okay.
All right, so he just had to do it differently. So he's the one who's trying to be ultra competitive now,
Absolutely.
and couldn't allow us to have.
You're trying to make an appeal to me right now. JT
Yes.
is like the judge of this argument.
I'm not that competitive. Look at Yanni.
That is completely not how I was talking.
Yeah, look at Yanni.
And that's I do that to Lexi all the time when she gets mad at me, and I'm like, and she's like, that's not how I talk. So now he's doing the exact same thing that I would. Yep.
Okay. I trust you. I believe you. You don't need to.
She's
it's
gonna
okay.
listen to it and be like, yeah, that's you.
Yeah.
Payback. That's
Take a sip of
payback.
water.
Your own medicine.
Eat a gusher,
Thanks for
JT.
listening to the podcast, Lexi. We appreciate it.
I was going to ask too. So there's also a 3-on-3 competition, but we obviously don't know how that's going to be set up, so we can't really predict that. But are there any other things that you think would be fun in a future Super Skills, like to kind of
That's a good
entertain fans?
I don't know. I
got
don't
one.
know. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
We just said it right now. See how fast you can take your skates out, like take the laces out of your skates so you can get ready for the new one. See who can do it the fastest. I think they did fastest tape job, I think, at one point. So
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like in a virtual pre-game show and we're
I
just
think-
in the locker room
I think
filming.
I would have trainers switch steel on the guys.
Oh, yeah.
Blow a steel
That's
in
funny.
the corner, race to the bench, get them changed up, go back on the ice.
Who do you think would do well?
Well, Chris and they're all three of them are super good. They do it
Yeah.
so often. So.
Yeah.
see, I mean, it'd be very close. It'd be quick. You'd have to have somebody really good with the stopwatch though, because I feel like it'd be like so close as far as the timing's concerned.
Hey, we've got the replay system in the arena. So
I guess that's
just
true.
use that, right?
True.
As far as of those ones, which one would you want to do? Like, if you got your pick, which one would be the, I guess, skill set? What would you try to do? Like, I mean, whether you win or lose, which one would you have the most fun in?
Yeah, I mean, hardest shot, I would 100% lose. Accuracy
So
shooting,
humble.
accuracy shooting would be fun too. I think. Who knows? I could probably get.
Just
him.
close your eyes and shoot, and it might
Yeah,
work.
exactly. It's pretty
You
much
know?
what I do on the ice anyway.
JT, with your skill set right now today,
Oh,
how do
nice.
you think
Oh,
you would
gosh.
do? Which one do you think you'd have the best chance in?
Well, the best chance would be the hardest shot, and that's still the worst chance because I'm not going to do. Well, there's going to be no. Nope, not the accuracy. Nope, that's not going to win it.
Yeah, I don't think I'd go there.
The what was the other one? Breakaway.
Obstacle course.
No, because they're not enough skill to do some crazy move.
Yeah.
Like no. But the obstacle course, like I'm out of shape, so I'd be slow. I'd be slow. Everybody else would be faster than me. So the only one I'd have a chance like to do okay in would be shooting the puck. But when I played, I didn't shoot it hard enough to win that game. That's the only one I could do. I might be able to beat
With your
somebody.
bad hip.
I could probably beat somebody at the hardest shot.
Maybe me.
You'd beat me, I'll tell you what.
You beat me.
I guarantee you I could beat a goalie at the hardest shot.
I don't think Joey.
know.
I don't think.
Oh,
he wins.
Joey's been
stop.
working on that.
I've seen the one-timer. That is disrespectful. You don't think that I can take a slap shot harder than Joey Decord? I am hurt.
Does he have to use his goalie stick?
No.
Or
With
can he
his
use a
glove?
regular
Oh,
stick?
No, it's.
He gets to use a real stick?
Yeah. Come on now, like you're.
All right, you know what? I still think it's disrespectful. All right, there's no shot. No shot Joey will
I'm
beat me
thinking
if we
Joey.
do a harder shot. There's no
Thinking
chance.
Joy.
So earlier in the podcast, Yanni, we were talking a little bit about like kind of chirping and fighting and kind of playing a physical role and how it adds to the entertainment value, but also how it can just be such a catalyst to turn the energy of a game. Obviously, that's that's certainly an aspect of your game as well. How much fun does that add to you, to your job every day, knowing that that's a little bit of, your role too, is to be that guy that can kind of bring that sandpaper, but also really get in the heads of your opponents?
I like it. I mean, this is how I play. I'm just trying to go out there, bring energy, try to, if we have the momentum, just keep it going. If we don't have the momentum, just have a energy shift, something that kind of switches momentum around, stop at the net, maybe create a scrum. Sometimes it's just like, sometimes it don't need that much to just change the vibe of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. JT was saying that was a fun part for you when you were playing, that there was nothing that you enjoyed as much as getting under the skin.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's part of it, right? Obviously, I think you can look at it from an aspect of they're thinking about you instead of worrying about the game. I think you can draw penalties that way. Yeah. Obviously, there's times where it does go too far. You take it to another level. But I think for the majority of the time, it's always going to be a benefit for the team. Creates more room for your players also when you're playing that way. But I also think like the defenseman, every time you go in on a forecheck, they're all right, 37's on the ice, or 23 was out on the ice. Whoever it was playing that type of role, they know when you're out there. Yeah. They're going to make their move a little bit quicker now. They might not take that extra second to go tape to tape. They might just rim the puck. So, I mean, I've always been I always gravitate, especially watching the game and seeing the players who play like that, just be able to, because that's how I like to play. So for me, it's always fun to watch that. It's fun to watch you play in that style. Obviously, from a different role now. Obviously, getting to see you play on the same ice. Playing on the same team together, playing against each other, but now obviously being in the broadcast booth, being able to see it from a different aspect as well, and seeing what you bring to a team. Even though I do chirp you all the time when we're here, I do, obviously I have the most respect for the way you play. Obviously you're a proven winner. It takes a lot of heart, a lot of guts. You play the game with the heart on the sleeve, and I think that it's, for me, it's a very well-respected way to play the game, and I just enjoy watching you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And I'm never saying any of that nice things
I was going to say, I was like,
ever.
That's the nicest thing I've heard JT say ever to anyone.
I need that clip then.
No.
He doesn't even speak to his wife like that. Shout out, Lexi.
Stop. No, but I mean, I think it's important. I think, just to have some players like that on the team and the way they play, and even just from a locker room standpoint, and obviously not every year here has been, where you want to go, right? Obviously, the end goal every year is to win the championship, win the Stanley Cup. But at the end of the day, having players like you that can bring the energy, that can keep the vibes the right way, that can kind of try to change the momentum of a game when things aren't going your way, those are huge aspects for a team. And not everyone wants to do those things.
Definitely. Well said. I have a question, one more question for both of you that I think would be fun to answer from a fan. This comes from a fan named Gabby, who actually we met last week, JT, or maybe not last week. I can't. Time is a flat circle. But when we had the Kraken Hockey Network practice day, she said, do players like when fans make signs for them / interact at warm-ups, or is it kind of distracting and or annoying?
You first.
I personally don't pay too much attention, and I'm sorry if I don't. But for some guys, they love it, and some I think during warm up, I'm so focused, and I don't know, I'm pretty busy too as I'm running.
You're working.
As I'm running the warm up as well. So
that's way too much work, by the way.
I'm not paying too much attention to it, but if there's a funny sign, we're definitely gonna see it, and we're definitely gonna chat about it in the locker room after.
You spend way too much energy chasing around, getting the pucks, setting them all up, knowing the time. Like I did that once, and I was like, never.
I know. I remember you doing it.
And my timing's terrible, by the way, too.
So I got called up, and then I think Brian Boyle was doing it before, and then I got called up, and then JT did it one game, and Hedy looked at me, he's like, "You're doing it next time." That's it.
No good. I won't do that again.
We don't want this guy doing it.
I think the signs are. I think they're fun to watch. Yeah. Again, not having to focus on all the rest of that, it was fun. I think for me, there was one in particular too. It was a game in Carolina. There was a sign, and they said, if JT scores, we get a puppy. And I was like, well, they picked me because I probably wasn't going to score that game. Well, guess what? I scored. And they had to go, and they sent a tweet. They took the picture, and they ended up getting a puppy for it. So that one will always be like a fun memory. Like they didn't pick Kucherov or Stamkos or anybody like that.
Did they name the dog after you?
Brownie.
Yeah, I think it was a chocolate lab, and I think they did. But
wait,
I'd have to double check on the name, but I know they got chocolate lab, and I'm pretty sure it was Brownie. It was a while ago, but
that's fantastic.
Nonetheless, those things. Now I'm also upset because like now there's a lot more signs that say like, hey, give me a stick, and then we'll play candy, or rock paper scissors for candy. Those signs, I don't think they were as big back when I was playing. I think it's kind of like more recent thing.
It's a trend.
I would have given away a bunch of sticks for
candy.
Yeah,
You'll do anything for 100%.
Candy. Like the equipment staff would be like, "How are you going through this many sticks?" And it's like I got a pile of Swedish fish underneath my stall, like going for that. So I think the signs were a great thing. I would have loved the candy ones, but obviously getting to see the puppy one was pretty cool, and every now and then you get to see a cool sign. So
it's so
I
cool.
paid more attention to it, but again, I can agree to your point though with the like running the actual warm up is too much work for me. I like to just go to the little spot, take a shot, spin around, chew my gum, look up at the jumbotron. Oh, hey, I'm on it.
Wave.
Well,
that's how my warm ups went.
It's a good thing you're in the broadcast booth now because you're like looking at yourself on the
maybe I should have been more laser focused like you.
Perfect
Yanni.
fit. Perfect
Well,
fit.
it's also just really cool that obviously both of you have had, such phenomenal careers as hockey players and continuing in this business, but also ultimately like what you do is for the fans, and to have fans like show up like that. What a cool privilege to have that relationship and that love, so salute to you guys and salute to our wonderful fans as well. Yanni, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks I know that you didn't know exactly what you were going to have in store with JT
no idea
here.
Until I opened the door. I was like, oh, there we go.
I thought it was good. I thought we were nice. I said some nice things about you. I'm
I really
glad you
appreciate
came.
it.
So, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next time it won't be as nice so everybody stay tuned for the next time Yanni's on.
Sounds good.
Hey, you heard it here. He's coming back on.
I'll be prepared. That's the next time.
No, I don't want that.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. And thank you all for listening to another episode of Signals from the Deep. Don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a comment. Tweet us. And we're just really looking forward to a great season ahead. Grant, producer extraordinaire, any final thoughts?
I just really want to see a lace race in the next skills competition. So I'm going to lobby to make that happen. That's a great idea.
We know some people. We can get it done.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We know some people. Stucky, if you're listening, get ready. All right, folks, thank you so much. We will see you back here for the next episode.
Signals from the Deep is the official podcast of the Seattle Kraken. Hosted by Piper Shaw and produced by me, Grant Beery. Music by Benny Drawbars. Have a question for us? Send an email to signals@seattlekraken.com or call the hotline at 206-279-7810. Your message could be featured on an upcoming episode.